What's up, everybody? Quick video here. This should be an easy one. I just want to archive our builds to the App Store to just get App Store Connect up and running. Later in this course, we're going to set up Xcode Cloud so that we can do this automatically. But for right now, let's just manually go ahead and archive our builds. Let's stop the simulator. Let's switch to our production build. So while the production build is selected, I can even switch our iPhone to any device. And now let's go ahead and product archive. And this should archive the build. Just to remind you guys that when we go and look at our schemes, there is an archive tab here. And so the build configuration is the release configuration is what is going to get archived with this current build. Just to remind you guys that that connects here. So now we are archiving our build. We should see a little loader up here. And in a minute, we should have the organizer pop up. We can also always go to the window, go to the organizer and just pop it up manually. But we'll go ahead and just let this build and run. And once it finishes archiving, we should be able to push it up to the App Store. All right, I have my archive here. We can see that it's the production version 1.0 build number 1. Let's go ahead and distribute it. Let's go to App Store Connect and distribute. In this check, it's going to tell me that the app is not yet connected in App Store Connect. So we could have gone on to App Store Connect first, created the actual app on App Store Connect, and then this would have already seen that the bundle ID exists. But because it doesn't, this new Xcode feature actually lets us just create the app from here, which is so much easier. So AI Chat course, and we'll use our AI Chat course bundle ID. Let's click Next. If you have another app with the same bundle ID that already exists and you're trying to create a second app, it will throw an error here. You can't have two apps with the same bundle ID in App Store Connect. This is now actually uploading it to App Store Connect. We're getting a couple quick errors here. Archive failed for DSIMs for some of the Firebase stuff. I think this might have to do just with the Firebase SDK that we're running right now, but these are not problems in our build. I think it has something to do with Firebase package, and so we're just gonna not worry about these for right now. Generally, there should not be warnings here, but let's go ahead and click Done. And we can now see that this uploaded to Apple. While we're here, let's go ahead and also go to the development build. Let's go ahead and product archive the development build as well. And while that is loading in the development build, you should now be able to open up App Store Connect, which I will put a link below, appstoreconnect.apple.com. And you should be able to see your app in App Store Connect. So I have here my app that I just uploaded. I will note that there is no app icon here. App Store Connect just doesn't show your app icon until you actually release it to the App Store. So your app icon is uploaded, it's just not showing in App Store Connect. I guess they do that on purpose. If you're going to actually ship this to the App Store, you now need to add in your screenshots, add in some description text, add in your keywords. I'm not going to go through all of this. I might post a video on YouTube about this in the future. There's lots of articles online on how to set all this stuff up. For something like keywords, there are App Store ranking, optimization, websites, and tools to find the best keywords. You're going to have to include a support URL. This will be like your private policy. And then down here, after the build uploads, we'll select the build, the one that we actually want to go ahead and add for review. Include some app information here. So the process that happens is you're going to add maybe some notes and tell the reviewer what to review. Generally, you don't need that many notes, especially if it's a first build. They're just going to review the whole app. You click Add for Review. It submits to the App Store review. And then the App Store review team is going to either approve or reject it. I will say that if it is a brand new app and it's the first time you're submitting this app, you should expect to get rejected. Generally, it takes a couple rejections before you get the first build into the App Store. There's just always things that you didn't think about that the App Store review team is thinking about that you got to tweak in your app. Generally, it's like safety requirements and policies and things like that. But after they go and they actually approve it, based on this setting, then you can either automatically release the app to everybody or manually release the version so that you have to then go and click release. So if you want it to release as soon as they approve it, automatic. But if you want them to approve it and then you click release when you're ready, you click manual here. You have to set this before you submit it to review. Automatic is what I go with in my personal projects. Manual is usually what I do for my company because I wait for like the boss to give the go ahead. When you set up your app for the first time, you'll also need to add in a bunch of app information. So the name and the subtitle appear in App Store, but there's lots of like content rights, age rating, and a bunch of other policy stuff that you'll be forced to set up before you can actually submit it. There's app privacy. Later in the course, we're going to set up purchases, and that will be in this monetization section down here. The last couple things that I want to touch on here is there's a test flight section. So test flight is where we just archived our build to. So we can see our build number 1, just archived. Version 1.0, build 1. And this is our app ready to go. All right. We'll talk about this managed compliance in 1 second. But in the test flight, there is this actual internal testing tool on the left here. So usually what we want to do is distribute our app internally, automatically, and then separately we'll distribute it to the public. So usually in here, we'll go and we'll create a new group called maybe internal testers, or maybe my team or something like that. And we'll enable automatic distribution. So this way, anytime we upload a build, it will automatically push to the test flight for all of the people in this group. So if I click create here, I'll then come down here, I'll click the plus, and I'll add all of the emails for everybody in my team. So my product manager, my designer, my UI designer, all the other engineers. So this way, everybody is always getting all of the builds internally. And if you go to add users here and they're not available, that means you probably have to add them into the users and access for your organization first. But we'll set this up so that every time I push a build to test flight, everybody in this build will automatically get those new updates. We'll also make sure you keep the feedback on so that if those people either have crash logs or they add feedback, you can get that automatically in test flight. Later, we're going to add Xcode Cloud, in which the builds that archive through Xcode Cloud will come through this tab as well, but we don't have this set up yet. Before we do this missing compliance, let's jump back into our code, and we should see that the development now did archive. Let's also distribute this and also send it to App Store Connect. And this one I will call AI Chat Course-dev. So our development build, and we'll use the dev bundle ID. Let's click next, and we'll let that load. So while that's loading, we have to come in here and click missing compliance. So if I click manage, what type of encryption algorithms does your app implement? I am not of legal authority to tell you what to click here, although I have not added any additional encryption other than Apple's standard CryptoKit that we used in our sign-in with Apple. So I'm going to go ahead and click none of the algorithms approved here, and then we can go ahead and click save. While we're here, it also says the only reason we're asking you about this is because there is no value for this in the info.plist. So we can actually go ahead and add a value in info.plist so that we don't get this question again. If I click on learn more, it literally brings us up and tells us app uses non-exempt encryption, and we'll set that to no. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Back in Xcode, our dev build also did archive. Let's jump back into our code base here. Let's go to our info.plist, and let's click the plus at the bottom here. And we should be able to add, it said app uses non-exempt encryption, and we'll set this to no by default. Let's go now archive this updated build so that we know that this is actually working. So what I'm going to do is jump into the General tab, and we already uploaded a build under version 1.0, build 1. So now we did not release version 1.0 yet to the public. So we don't want to increment the version here. We still want to upload version 1.0, except this is build 2 of version 1.0. So I'll increment this to 2 here. Let's go ahead and Option Command C to commit it. We'll make this a feature. We'll say update to version 1.0 build 2. Let's stage it and commit it. I like to always just commit it before I go ahead and archive it. I'll also push this up to GitHub. And now let's go ahead and go to our production build. Let's product archive and let that archive. Back in App Store Connect, we should now be able to click save. And once this is saved, we should now be able to actually get this in test flight. So if you are logged into test flight on your mobile device, you should now be able to see this app in test flight. If you haven't, maybe go ahead and add yourself into your internal testers. Sometimes people have multiple Apple ID accounts. So sometimes your App Store Connect account has a different Apple ID than your personal email. So you might want to go and add your personal email or your personal, whatever email you have on your iPhone in as a tester so that you automatically get all these builds. We should also be able to switch to the AI chat course-dev build, which is still processing here, but all the exact same stuff applies. So we're going to have two different apps in App Store Connect, one for the dev, one for the prod. The dev, we're going to do the same thing. We'll set up an internal testing team as well. The only difference is that the dev, we are never going to submit to the App Store. And obviously the prod is the one that we will submit to the App Store. Back in Xcode, I should now be able to see version 2. Let's go ahead and distribute that automatically. And while this is distributing, let's go ahead and switch to the development build and also archive that. I will open up the organizer. Now you can see already how this becomes a very cumbersome process. We have to go and click archive twice. We have to wait for it to archive, then we have to wait for it to upload. And this is basically why Xcode Cloud exists. Xcode Cloud is going to allow us to automatically archive and upload these without us having to manually do it each time. In the next section of this course, we're going to go ahead and set that up, but we're not going to set that up just yet. Right now, we're just manually doing it ourselves. This is done. Now we have the development. You can use this button up here to switch between the development archives and the production. So I'll go here and I'll distribute the app. So also distribute this. Back in App Store Connect. So now I can see build 2, version 1.0, build 2 is now processing. And then hopefully once this processes, it will automatically be updated and we don't need to manually fill out that compliance anymore. Once this build is ready, it will automatically distribute to all the internal testers. So if I added my product manager, my designer, my entire team, everybody's going to get this push to their TestFlight app on their iPhones. So automatically pushing to everybody on the team, which is a pretty seamless process. The development build is just finished archiving version 2. And then the last thing I'll note in this video is that if we wanted to get the DSIMs, so later in this course, we're going to set up Crashlytics. Crashlytics lets you observe the crashes in your app. When we manually archive, you can open up the archive in the Finder. And then in the archive, you can show the package contents. And then here you'll find all the DSIMs. So here is actually all of your DSIMs. So if you're going to manually upload your DSIMs to some sort of Crashlytics service, you would probably compress this and then upload this file to whatever Crashlytics service that you're using. We're going to go ahead and talk about DSIMs when we get to the crash logging in a future video. For right now, let's just switch back to the TestFlight and we should see, I think it will be finished archiving. Perfect. And it didn't ask us that question. So it automatically went to the IT group, which is the internal testers, and everybody on my team now gets to play around with this build. And you can go play around with it yourself. You'll find that the AI chat course is our production version. In our dev build, we'll now automatically start getting the dev build with the dev settings in it. So most of the time, my development team, so me, the engineers, the designers, we're going to work in the dev build. But when we go and QA it and get it ready for production, we'll do the final testing in the production build. All right, that's all I wanted to do in this video. Just show you guys how to manually archive up to App Store Connect. In a future video, we're going to automatically do that through Xcode Cloud, but we are not ready for that just yet. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.